Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MedSynapse podcast series. I'm your host, Dr. Nigar, and I'm thrilled to have Dr. Sohaib Imtiaz joining us today, connecting from the USA. Dr. Sohaib is a board certified lifestyle medicine doctor and a digital health advisor to startups. He's the visionary behind the Amelie app and the mastermind behind the Human Behavior Club on Clubhouse. Today, our focus revolves around an essential aspect of our well being sleep. Dr. Sahib will enlighten us on the intersection of technology and sleep, offering insights into an ever evolving landscape of sleep tech. So, whether you're a tech enthusiast, a health conscious individual, or simply curious about optimizing your sleep, you're in for a treat. Welcome, Dr. Sahib Imtiaz.
Hi, thanks for having me on the podcast. Thank you for the great introduction, and I'm excited to be talking to you here today to discuss all things technology, wellness, and sleep.
Thank you so much for joining us on MedSynapse podcast series. We're very glad to have you here on this important topic today.
It's a pleasure. I'm really looking forward to it, and hope I can answer your questions well.
Thank you, Doctor. Now let's begin with the podcast. Dr. Sahib, to begin with, could you please provide an overview of the recent advancements in sleep technology and what it encompasses?
Yeah, great questions. So firstly, I would like to say I've worked with a lot of different sleep technology companies, and I've seen sleep tech really take center stage, especially around COVID and just before. And a lot more of us are focused around sleep because we know sleep is so important. So a lot of companies now are looking at how can we optimize and improve our sleep. We spend a third of the day sleeping, so we spend about a third of our lives sleeping. So it becomes a very important thing. Now, traditionally, with executives and startup founders, we've had a lot of hustle culture where people want to almost forego sleep, right? They think sleep is a waste of time. They think sleep is cutting into the time they can be having fun or working. But we know from a lot of studies that being sleep deprived can not only affect your performance, how your brain functions, but it can lead to things like heart disease, cognitive decline, can lead to you feeling more likely to have depression and anxiety states. So sleep deprivation can be very harmful for our health. So if we do want to slow down aging, we want to live a longer, healthier life, I call this health span, we want a better health span, then sleep becomes super important. And because of this, we're seeing a lot of technology companies play in this field. So some examples, I would say, firstly, I think sleep tech started with companies like trackers, like Apple Health. You have the Whoop wearable, you have the Oura Ring wearable. Some of the startups, some of the companies now that I'm a fan of. So I started using the Oura Ring probably about 8 years ago, and I was one of the only ones using this ring, and you've probably seen the Oura Ring. The Oura Ring essentially is a tracker. It tracks things like activity, it tracks your heart rate variability, your skin temperature, and it also tracks your sleep. So when I used to wear it, first of all, I used to get good feedback on my sleep. I was a busy resident in hospitals. I would often, we call it social jet lag. I would do night shifts and then switch to day shifts. And I used to have a lot of problems trying to get my sleep right. Because as you know, you're probably aware of how hard it can be being in hospitals, especially doing shift work. So the Oura Ring essentially tracks your sleep. It gives you a score for sleep quality, gives you a score for sleep efficiency, tells you about your sleep stages, tells you about overnight heart rate and heart rate variability. And from that, it gives you a sleep score, which you can kind of work out how your sleep was. So big fan of Oura Ring. I started using the Whoop wearable. Whoop does similar to Apple Health, also tracks your sleep. So these are good sleep trackers. And now they're starting to look at stress and other factors as well, and starting to give a few insights into your chronotype, which means, are you someone who naturally wakes up early or someone who goes to sleep late? So that's kind of this new frontier of what this technology is doing. Now, if we get a bit deeper than that, from just tracking sleep, we can start to think about companies like 8 Sleep. So I was lucky enough to, first of all, with the Human Behavior Club, I partnered with 8 Sleep. I interviewed Matteo, who's the founder of 8 Sleep. He brought me on as a sleep doctor when I worked on this sleep tech that they had. So essentially what 8 Sleep is a smart mattress. What it does is that it is temperature controlled. So you can adjust the temperature throughout the night, because we know if we want to get optimum sleep, most of us have to get to a certain temperature. And what that means is we have to cool our body. So the gradient of us cooling our body helps us get better sleep. So 8 Sleep essentially assists you to cool your body. And we know everyone is different. We're all genetically different. We have different preferences between men and women. Generally, men like a cooler temperature than women to sleep in. So 8 Sleep has, two different sides, allows you and your partner to have different temperatures when you sleep, and that changes throughout the night. So 8 Sleep is one of the kind of products which is kind of helping your physiology, where the other products are kind of tracking it. So 8 Sleep helped work on the 8 Sleep mattress. We did a bit of sleep coaching programs as well. I had a few clients, a lot of executives who were trying to get better sleep. So my role was to try and design a program which helps people obtain better sleep. So 8 Sleep is something that I'm a big fan of. I'm a user of 8 Sleep. Whoop and Aura, I track my sleep. Some of the metrics that I think are super important are things like your heart rate variability, which is a good measure of your parasympathetic nervous system, and your sympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest, and your fight and flight system. So when we have better recovery, which often happens after sleep, we have higher HRV scores, which means we're recovering better. Often after a heavy workout or a stressful event, our HRV will reduce. So the best way to recover is actually getting good sleep. And you see people like LeBron James and various athletes really prioritize their sleep and sleep up to even 11 hours a night. So there's some of the technologies I've talked about. Now, in terms of emerging technologies, a lot happening in the audio space. People using audio to really help you optimize your sleep. There's a company, founders from Beats, who've come over and started a company called Ozo Health. They're using earbuds or kind of earphones to help do audio, almost audio soundscapes to help you perform better in your sleep, which means getting better deep sleep and REM sleep and optimize the quality of your sleep. So that's some of the emerging stuff, which is kind of starting to look at brain waves and how we can kind of interfere with that. Otherwise, the vision of a lot of these companies is to try and really help us focus on our sleep. So it'll be simple things like habit formation, looking at bedtime rituals, morning routines, jet lag, another big one. Time Shifter is an app that I've used. If I travel, it tells you what time you should take melatonin, when you should get morning light, when you should exercise, and when you should, eat your meals. So there's some really interesting technologies right now. And I think with AI, recently I had a group of fellows. I was training doctors who were trying to train up in tech, and the project was to come up with a sleep solution. So they produced a project on the Byte Labs Fellowship that I was a part of. And we were looking at kind of a lot of different things. But I think AI will play a very interesting role in helping us work out people's chronotypes, natural preferences, helping them match their sleep to their lifestyles, as well as give interventions to try certain things. With a lot of my clients, I've recommended certain things like magnesium supplements. I recommend various things that we'll probably go into, but I think AI can really help personalize that. So I'm really excited for what's to come, because we know more and more people are getting sleep apnea, more and more people are getting insomnia, and more people have worse mental health. So that has a direct effect on your sleep. So just a few technologies that I'm interested in.
Thank you, Dr. Sohaib, for that comprehensive overview of importance of sleep and also of the recent advancements in sleep technology. I'm sure your insights have provided a great foundation to our audience to understand the multifaceted developments in this field.
Yeah, I said no, thank you. Yeah, I think I'm just super passionate about this space, so I make sure I'm on top of what's happening in sleep technology. It's kind of become my strength in a lot of the lifestyle medicine field. Nutrition, exercise, and stress are also very important, but I think a lot of them link very well with sleep.
Definitely. Now, moving on to our next question. Dr. Sohaib, how has the integration of sleep technology in recent years impacted both general sleep quality and the healthcare industry's approach to sleep-related issues?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. But I think definitely we have more awareness about sleep. More of us are talking about sleep. But as we know in behavioral science, knowledge unfortunately doesn't call behavior change. A lot of us know what to do. We know we should be sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night, but a lot of us still don't do it. And I think the biggest challenge is technology. I think we're in such a connected world with, our smartphones and screens around us, which emit a lot of blue light, which really disrupt our sleep and keep us alert and aroused late into the night, which can really have an impact on your body clock and circadian rhythm, but also how much you're sleeping. So I think that's the real challenge. How do we compete with technology? So whilst technology can be brilliant for helping you optimize your sleep, it can also have a downside. So when we look at the health systems, I think it's had an impact in terms of we're starting to realize the problem, right? I believe in if you don't measure it, you don't manage it. So a lot of people are starting to see sleep scores on their wearables and actually working out that, hey, we thought we slept well, but our sleep scores are low, or we only sleep 6 hours a night for months on end, right? As humans, we're very bad at perceiving what we actually do. So I think data is super strong. And I think we're going towards this data-driven health. And that's why I think tracking is really positive. However, in some people, there can be negatives. There are people who find that it's more anxiety inducing. It can affect your performance. For example, there was a study done which showed that people who slept well but looked at a negative sleep score seemed to have worse performance because in their mind, the placebo effect, they thought they had bad sleep. So sometimes I do say if you have bad sleep, don't look at the score because inevitably you'll perform worse, right? Talk about performance, we're talking about things like your working memory, you're talking about reaction times, we're talking about how your brain functions throughout the day for most of us, right? For athletes, it's things like reaction time, strength, metrics like that. So I think addressing things like sleep apnea, insomnia are super important. And I think we still need more to be done there. A lot of, for example, sleep apnea is undiagnosed. A lot of people who are obese, as we know, obesity levels are rising. A lot of people undiagnosed. So I think the next step will be to start to diagnose some of these things in the home, being able to pick up sleep apnea through a wearable device. And the devices are getting there. A lot of them aren't FDA approved yet. They have all right staging, but not as accurate as gold standard, which is PSG, polysomnography. That's what we use in sleep labs. So if we can start having that in the home, I think that'd be very powerful at tackling some of these sleep conditions. So I think we're moving in the right direction. More of us are thinking about sleep, more of us are aware of what's going wrong. But I think on the treatment side, we're not being able to pair these solutions with interesting interventions that we'll probably go into, like CBT, etc., digitally. I think there's a massive opportunity there, but I definitely am excited about where the sleep space is going.
Now, talking about technology and sleep, technology has extended its reach into our bedrooms, not only with our smartphones, but also with smart mattresses, pillows, and ambient lighting. How can these smart bedroom solutions contribute to creating a more conducive sleep environment? And also, are there any potential drawbacks we should be aware of?
Yeah, so a sleep environment is key. So when I think about people sleeping, I think about the two most important things, which for me is temperature and light. So we know from the studies that the best way to get quality sleep is to maximize your light exposure in the day, about 10,000 lux of light. And this is within an hour or 2 hours of waking. And then we want darkness 2 to 3 hours before nighttime. So because of that, we are starting to see more and more companies make solutions for that because we have a lot of artificial light through screens, especially in the northern hemisphere, you don't get much daytime light either. So you're seeing the use of things like SAD lamps, which you can put on your desk in the morning, expose yourself for about half an hour to an hour, and start to feel more alert and aroused in the day. Then at nighttime, you're seeing the use of things like blue light blocking glasses or ambient lighting, like you said, which changes hues of color, which no longer inhibits our melatonin. So for those who don't know, melatonin produced from our pineal gland is what helps initiate our sleep. And if that's inhibited, we feel less sleepy, more chances of insomnia occurring as well. So that's why darkness is key. Blackout curtains, another one. So there's a lot of things we can do with our light environment to start to optimize our sleep. Secondly, temperature. So as I talked about, sleep, a smart mattress, which can help you feel cooler at night. A lot of this technology can really help because we know cooling down is what helps us get to sleep. So for a lot of people, 68 to 72 Fahrenheit is probably the optimum temperature, but it does vary from person to person. So this becomes a really good thing that someone can be using. Otherwise, with environment, I have seen things like humidifiers. Increased humidity levels may disturb your sleep, so use of a humidifier can really help that. Another one would be, you see this, I've been trying it with my child as well, brown noise or white noise or pink noise sound machines. You can get them now connected to an app and they can change throughout the night. Very good for those who are struggling, who have a lot of background noise, maybe coming from the road or external environment. So I think in terms of sleep, in terms of environment, I would say the most important things are light, temperature, sound, right? And then we come into things like comfort, a comfortable mattress, a good pillow, People use memory foam pillows, which a lot of people find more comfortable as well. So there's a few things we can be doing there. In terms of the downsides, I guess I can't really think of any, but I would say that I think maybe getting a bit too obsessive. Maybe it's hard to adapt when you travel. A lot of it, executives, for example, travel. It's very hard to bring their stuff with them. So that's the difficulty with hotel rooms. I see a lot of people sleep really being affected when they travel. And I guess we can cover jet lag as well, where jet lag essentially, when you travel, it takes you about an hour per day to adjust to the new time zone. So jet lag can really interfere with our day-to-day functioning, our metabolic health, how alert we are, and have negative effects. So yeah, I think technology environment super important for us, but I think there's many things we can be doing to tweak it.
As we have mentioned earlier, there are numerous sleep apps available that claim to aid in improving sleep through various methods, including cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. Dr. Sohaib, what is your perspective on the effectiveness of these apps, and how should individuals choose the right one for their specific needs?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So CBT, for those who don't know, cognitive behavioral therapy is something a lot of people use for problems like insomnia, recommended by doctors. It's the first line of treatment often before people go into medication, use sedatives, etc. And it can be very effective. A lot of the studies show how effective it can be, and it's helped a lot of people, treat insomnia. Now, with the dawn of digital technology, I've seen a few solutions. Sleepio being one from London, which uses digital CBT and has worked very well. I think it's improved the sleep of a high percentage of people, and they've now expanded to the US as well from the UK. So I think digital CBT 100% works, and it's an intervention that we should be seeing more. I think it's hard to get access to sleep solutions. I was part of the team at Crescent Health that recently got acquired by BetterUp. We built that across 2-3 years. I was an advisor as well as a sleep coach and sleep doctor. And we were really building the technology side to really deliver things like CBTI, but also coaching and messaging people and helping them form healthy routines, but also looking at their data and reporting back to them with positive feedback to see how that can incentivize and motivate people to be healthier. So I think a lot of people should be able to access some of these apps. I would recommend Sleepio. I think that's a really good solution. I know there's others as well. I know Calm and Headspace also have certain sleep things, probably not clinically validated like CBT is, but they have things that can help. People have reported to help with their sleep. But I think digital CBT, I think is a very strong value proposition. I know at Samsung, recently on the Samsung Galaxy Watch, they launched AI coaching with CBTI, really helping their users to improve their sleep through a 4-week session. So I think there's brilliant results with that, and I think anyone struggling should definitely look into the solutions.
Now, coming to our final question for the day, we would like to focus on blue light. With increased screen time, especially in the evening, exposure to blue light has become a concern for sleep quality. Dr. Sohaib, could you please explain the impact of blue light on our circadian rhythm, and are there effective strategies or technologies to mitigate its effects?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So for those who don't know, your circadian rhythm is your body clock. The Nobel Prize for Circadian Rhythm Research was won in 2017. And what it showed is that humans as well as animals have this internal clock, often mediated by the suprachiasmatic nucleus in the brain. And what it does is that it helps us dictate morning and night. And this is dictated by our sleep-wake cycle. So we have a natural time we sleep, a natural time we wake up. You have fluctuations of certain hormones. For example, cortisol is highest in the morning, right? We have things like growth hormone, which peak in the night. We have changes in testosterone and estrogen. And the most important hormone for us being melatonin, which is produced to help us go to sleep. So when melatonin is inhibited, and it's inhibited by light, and that's why light exposure in the nighttime can really disrupt your circadian rhythm, your natural body clock, your body's natural rhythm. And this throws up a lot of your organ functions, like your liver function, your pancreas function, your digestive system, and can have quite an impact on your health and body. And that's why when you see athletes, they travel, it has impact on their performance. Their reaction times are slower. And we've seen this with sports teams, right? And over time, having too much jet lag can really increase our chances of certain diseases like cancers, for example. The World Health Organization has classed night shift work as now a carcinogen. That's how important this is. So what can we do to mitigate this? So first of all, the simple things: dark environment, 3 hours before bed, make sure you're in darkness. And that's pretty hard for a lot of people. So I switch my phone on to the nighttime filter, my laptop as well. I put my blue light blocking glasses on so that for the blue light, which is the frequency of light, which really inhibits melatonin, that is blocked, right? If we can block that, then we're pretty good to go. So I do use blue light blocking glasses. I try and avoid screens as much as possible. Sometimes it's inevitable, but these filters really help with that. And in the morning, I try and expose myself to light outside or using something like an SAD lamp to really optimize how I'm feeling. Also good because you get vitamin D as well, which is good for our body and good for our sleep as well. So that's really the importance of our circadian rhythm. And we also see it disrupted when we travel. And that's why it's important to time certain things. So we know nutrition and exercise also have an impact on our body clock. So what you can do is that when you're traveling to a new destination, say if you want to stay awake and alert in its daytime, you should get a workout in. Getting a workout in trains our circadian rhythm and help us adjust to that time zone a lot quicker, and will mean that we get better sleep that night. Similarly, if it's dark, I would avoid physical activity, right? I would just try and avoid light as I get to my destination when it's dark. So I go to sleep earlier. Similarly with nutrition, we know meal timings. For example, when you get to a destination, if you want to stay awake, having a certain meal, high protein, certain number of carbs as well, can help us entrain our rhythm. So meal timing becomes really important as well because it signals to our body and starts to adjust our leptin and ghrelin and our hunger and fullness hormones. So our whole lifestyle is very much tied to this body clock. And that's why a lot of studies have shown that consistency of sleep is sometimes more important than the duration of sleep. And those people who sleep at the same time every day or within a certain half an hour period every day and wake up at a similar time every day have way better health than people even getting more hours of sleep than them. So that tells us that the natural rhythm, maintaining that is very important. Sleep consistency is a very important metric when it comes to your health.
Dr. Sohaib, thank you so much for the discussion around the blue light and its impact on our circadian rhythm, as it's a prevalent concern in today's tech-centric society.
No, appreciate it.
Dr. Sohaib, before we wrap up, I'm curious about your journey. Lifestyle medicine is a unique and an impactful one. What led you to specialize in this field, and how has it shaped your perspective on healthcare?
Yeah, I love answering that question. I kind of fell into it. I think timing was right for me. So when I started medical school, I was super interested in my health. I was interested in human performance and how the brain works. In medical school, we learn a lot about disease, but we don't often learn about how we can live longer, how we can improve or optimize our health. Similarly, I was always interested in computer science, and I was very close to applying for computer science, but I chose medicine. So as I was doing medical school, I took a year out in business school, and I got super interested in startups. I also did a master's in public health, where I got more interested in preventative medicine. And when I thought about preventive medicine, I looked at all the chronic diseases. I looked at things like dementia, heart disease, cancers, and the common thing was our lifestyle. So we saw that having a healthy diet, this is one of my projects, could really reduce the risk of these things. Exercising more could also reduce the risk of these things. Sleeping more, being less chronically stressed, and having healthy social relationships could keep us healthier. So this triggered an interest for me into lifestyle, but it doesn't exist as a specialty. So I wasn't quite sure what to do with this. So as I got more interested in startups, I started working at a startup in San Diego called O-Waves, which was a lot around lifestyle medicine. And that's how I came across the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. And they were big proponents of lifestyle as medicine for doctors and learning what we don't often get taught in medical school. So I became a member of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine as I was at O-Waves. I became super interested in apps and technologies, and naturally I was using a lot of wearables. I was beta testing a lot of apps. So I had this interest of digital health and lifestyle medicine, these two things that I paired together, right? They go hand in hand, as well as behavioral science. So when I started working as a doctor, they released the first certification for doctors in lifestyle medicine internationally. So I was the first cohort of doctors in the UK to become board certified in lifestyle medicine, which is the same exam you take in the US. And it's only been around now for 6 years. So as I was one of the first doctors to become lifestyle certified. So it's doctors who understand nutrition, understand exercise, understand sleep, understand stress management, and understand behavior change. And that behavior change element is super important, because I think if you can understand what drives people and motivates them intrinsically and extrinsically, and you understand design, then you can really help people be healthier and form healthier habits. And that's why I formed the Human Behavior Club on Clubhouse, because I would host a lot of conversations on lifestyle medicine and behavioral science, because I think they're very interlinked. So this got me started, and it's been an interesting journey. I've advised a lot of different companies now. I've partnered with a lot of companies from Noom and Whoop, etc. Hosted some of the great names in longevity and aging, like David Sinclair from Harvard, all the great people in brain health, David Eagleman from Stanford. So I see lifestyle medicine as longevity, health optimization, prevention of chronic disease, and how we can be better as humans and improve our performance daily, right? So that's at various different metrics, and how we can use lifestyle to really get there. And then similarly, I've been very interested in tech, and I was on the NHS UK Clinical Entrepreneurship Program, where I was being trained in things like product and technology and AI, and really understanding that. So I really feel like lifestyle is the way for us to all have a healthier society, and digital and apps and technologies is the way to really deliver that. So I see myself as, I call myself the digital doctor. That's kind of my my name, and that's because I really talk about digital health, and I feel myself as a digital health clinician as well as a board certified lifestyle medicine clinician as well. So that was a bit of my journey, and I've enjoyed it. Timing has been very good with both things. They've become really important. A lot of physicians are interested in these fields now, as I look back in the last 2 years post-COVID.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sohaib, for sharing your fascinating journey with us. Your insights have definitely added a valuable and interesting dimension to our conversation today, and your dedication to lifestyle medicine is very inspiring, and we look forward to seeing the positive impact of your work. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on the podcast. Love the conversation and love what you're doing with your podcast as well. Would love to kind of listen to all your episodes as well and catch up. But yeah, well done to you for having this podcast. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sohaib, for your support. And we would like to express our deepest gratitude for contributing your wealth of knowledge on today's engaging episode on dynamic relationship between the technology and sleep. And I'm sure this was a very interesting session to our audience as well. And also to our dedicated audience, we extend a sincere thank you for joining us on this exploration of sleep and technology. Your curiosity and participation are the driving forces behind the success of our podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more interesting episodes as this. Thank you, and see you next time. Goodbye.